Shocking report. U.S. officials expose Carney's costliest mistake yet. Since Mark Carney took office as Canada's 24th Prime Minister following the snap federal election on April 28, 2025, his administration has faced a series of formidable challenges that have not only intensified public scrutiny, but also raised significant international concerns. The government's approach to handling various pressing issues, including labor disputes, energy policies, and media regulations, has sparked widespread debate across the country. This has revealed deep divisions within Canadian society, prompting many to question the path forward for the nation. Although Carney initially enjoyed strong approval ratings, recent events have seen his popularity begin to decline, particularly as concerns about the rising cost of living and energy policy come to the forefront. This shift in public sentiment has allowed opposition parties to capitalize on these vulnerabilities, further complicating Carney's position in an increasingly polarized political landscape. One of the most significant domestic issues currently facing the government is the ongoing strike by Air Canada's flight attendants, who are represented by the Canadian Union of Public Employees, COUP. This strike, which began in mid-August 2025, was prompted by grievances regarding unpaid work during boarding procedures. The union's leadership has made a strong case for compensation for this boarding time, arguing that it is essential for upholding fair labor practices and ensuring that employees are compensated for all the work they perform. This demand has resonated deeply with labor activists across the nation, drawing attention to systemic issues that have long plagued the airline industry. Traditionally, flight attendants in North America have not been compensated until the cabin door is securely closed, which places an undue financial burden on many workers, especially those who rely on every hour of pay to make ends meet. For many, this situation highlights a broader trend of undervaluing essential service workers, raising questions about equity and fairness in the labor market. Despite the Canada Industrial Relations Board declaring the strike unlawful and issuing a return-to-work order, COUP leaders have remained steadfast in their defiance, prepared to face the legal consequences of their actions. This courageous stance has led to the grounding of Air Canada's entire fleet, resulting in thousands of cancelled flights and widespread disruptions that have impacted over 500,000 travelers. The airline has even suspended its profit forecasts due to the substantial financial ramifications of this dispute, revealing just how deeply intertwined labor relations are with broader economic stability. With Air Canada operating around 700 flights daily, the ripple effects of the strike extend far beyond the airline itself, adversely affecting hotels, restaurants, and local businesses that depend heavily on tourism. The cancellation of flights not only disrupts travel plans but also leads to significant financial losses for countless stakeholders, highlighting the interconnectedness of the aviation industry with the broader economy. The government's intervention in the labor dispute has raised serious concerns about balancing federal authority and workers' rights. Critics argue that enforcing binding arbitration undermines collective bargaining, setting a troubling precedent for future labor relations. Many Canadians question whether the government prioritizes corporate interests over the welfare of its citizens, leading to growing distrust toward the administration. Jobs Minister Patty Hajdu invoked Section 107 of the Canada Labour Code to justify this intervention, igniting protests from labour groups who accuse the government of trampling on workers' rights. This situation has spurred public engagement, as citizens increasingly advocate for stronger labor protections and equitable practices, reflecting a broader societal desire for justice in the workplace. Carney's administration is also facing international criticism regarding its energy policies. Despite commitments to phase out inefficient fossil fuel subsidies by 2025, the government allocated $29.6 billion to fossil fuel and petrochemical industries in 2024, contradicting its environmental pledges. This inconsistency raises serious questions about Canada's potential leadership in global climate initiatives, creating a rift between environmental advocates and industry leaders. Critics argue that ongoing support for fossil fuels undermines efforts to combat climate change, leading to frustration among citizens calling for increased investments in renewable energy. The current regulatory environment and carbon taxation have caused project cancellations and a decline in competitiveness, highlighting the urgent need for a sustainable energy strategy that balances economic and environmental concerns. On the media front, Carney's administration has faced significant scrutiny regarding the Online News Act, criticized by the U.S. State Department for potentially undermining press freedom. This legislation imposes financial obligations on tech companies, which could limit the reach and viability of independent news outlets. The act has sparked fears about government overreach and its implications for democracy in Canada. While the government defends the legislation as necessary for fair compensation for news organizations, the backlash raises troubling questions about Canada's reputation as a defender of press freedom. The debate surrounding the Online News Act has brought forth diverse voices advocating for a nuanced understanding of how to support journalism while protecting democratic values. Domestically, Carney's policies have generated a growing public backlash, with citizens expressing mounting frustration over what they perceive as federal overreach and ineffective governance. Many Canadians feel that the government's focus has shifted towards symbolic gestures rather than addressing systemic issues that directly affect their lives. This erosion of public trust has become increasingly pronounced as Carney's approval ratings continue to decline. A sense of alienation is palpable among many Canadians who feel their concerns are not adequately reflected in government policies or actions. As citizens increasingly feel disconnected from their leaders, the calls for accountability and transparency grow louder, highlighting the importance of genuine engagement in the political process. In summary, Prime Minister Mark Carney's administration faces multiple crises, including labor disputes, energy policy contradictions, and media regulation controversies, all contributing to a decline in public trust. These challenges underscore the need for a balanced approach that respects labor rights, promotes sustainable energy, and upholds democratic freedoms. Navigating these issues effectively is crucial for the government's political viability and the future of Canada as an equitable and sustainable nation. Engaging diverse voices will foster a more inclusive society and pave the way for a brighter future.